Luc Bouchard with Solvac Life Coaching Services. I've been a certified life skills coach for 22 years, and I specialize in men's issues and what keeps men stuck. Today we have a two-part interview with Stan Galbraith from Galbraith Law, and it's going to be, the first section is going to be on Stan's practice and as a family man and just different things in his life, and the second part is going to be his contribution and his involvement in the men's league. So welcome, Stan. And thank you very much for taking your time to interview me.
Oh, thank you, Luke.
Interview me. Okay.
Thanks, Luke. I graduated from the University of Alberta in 1982. I've been a lawyer ever since then. Went out on my own and have my own law practice since 1988. We now have a small practice in the west end of Edmonton with 3 lawyers, a whole whack of wonderful support staff, and we do 3 things. We do wills and estates work, we do small business, and we do a lot of real estate work.
Okay. What do you like about being a lawyer?
I really enjoy being able to help people solve some complex problems. One of the great joys for me is seeing somebody come into my office who looks totally stressed out and leaving the office in a lot more comfortable, relaxed demeanor.
So relationships are really important to you then, that would sound like, when you practice and getting to know your clients?
Oh, very much so. One of the great sources of joy for me is the fact that after being in the business for as many years as I have, I've actually got clients where I'm doing real estate deals and starting businesses for their children and in some cases their grandchildren. So that type of continuity and being able to help people over that length of time is really important.
Right, right. And what a better testimony about your service if they're sending your family to you and whatnot.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you are a father and a husband, and tell me about your family. How long you've been married and how many kids do you have?
I've been married for 28 years.
28 years. Wow. I don't think I was married 28 months, but anyway, not about me. Okay, so 28 years.
Yeah, 28 years, 4 children, 3 grandchildren.
Wow.
And yeah, my oldest grandchild, he can now outdrive me on the golf course. So I guess I've tutored him well.
Yeah.
He outskis me on the ski hill and outdrives me on the golf course.
Nice, nice. And you have 2 boys, 2 girls, 3 girls. How many boys to girls?
3 girls and 1 boy.
And where's the boy in the scheme of things?
He's the 3rd in line. So.
Oh, okay. So almost a middle child and that kind of
That's
stuff.
right.
How do you find parenting boys different than parenting girls? Because you and your son are outnumbered in your house from
Yes.
4 women to 2 guys. So what do you find the difference in parenting boys?
I find that boys are a lot more concrete.
Okay.
And when boys get into some disagreement with other boys, they go and have a fight about it and it's done. Whereas with girls, it can be so much more difficult. There's so much more depth to it. There's so many more layers to it.
Okay. And do you find it's just easier and it's more straightforward when you're dealing with son and his stuff than dealing with your daughter's issues?
In many respects, yes.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where I've learned a lot over the years in dealing with the feminine is to watch how many layers there are to go through with the girls compared to the boys.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you find it sometimes difficult understanding where women are coming from, especially your girls? Like, do you just find it's lost on you, or you don't understand, or how does that work?
Yeah, still, as much as I'm a student of human behavior and like to, feel that I know what's going on, there's lots of times when I'm in over my head and not really understanding where is this coming from.
Out of your depth and whatnot.
Yes.
So 28 years you've been married. I'm sure people have asked this, what's the secret to marriage? Like, what do you do? Because I'm rather impressed to be, that's a serious accomplishment and whatnot. What would you say is the one thing that helped your marriage last and have that kind of longevity and so many divorces?
Wow, I think first and foremost is the level of commitment that I've had from my spouse, from Frankie, has been wonderful through all my ups and downs.
Okay.
And then that's given me the inspiration and commitment to be the same with her.
Okay.
And I find that it's certainly a learning process. I've had my days when I've felt that I'm in over my head and that it's just not working, and then I redouble or come back to the commitment level again, and here we are 28 years later.
Wow.
We've got a level of communication now that is only sometimes that we fail to communicate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody once said to me that being in a committed relationship, it always takes the best part of you every day. Would you agree with that? That you have to really always try and put your best foot forward and try and be your best at all the times for it to be successful? Is that, or is it?
No, I don't agree with that, because
Okay.
I think that the relationship grows the best when you put your best foot forward. But one of the nice things about having a relationship is, once you've got that kind of depth that we have, is that there are days when it's nice, just a nice soft place to land.
Great, well
Right?
said. Very well said.
Yeah.
And do you come from a long history? Like, were your parents still together? Are your parents alive?
Yeah, my mother's still alive, and
Okay.
my parents were married for over 50 years.
And so they stayed together up until you lost until your father died?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about Ricky? I'm sorry, no, what's your wife's name?
Frankie.
Frankie, pardon me. And what about Frankie? Did she come from a long history of her family staying together, her
Yes.
parents? Okay.
Yes, she did. Yeah.
Do you think that contributes to people staying together, that they had that as a role model?
Oh, I think any role model we have contributes to our behavior, and
Okay.
that makes a big difference as to whether you cut and run or whether you're more inclined to be stick through the tough times. Sure,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and especially if that's been modeled to you and you see that, for
that's
sure.
right.
That's pretty cool. I want to talk to you about a men's group that you're involved in, and it's called the Men's League. And this is something you've been involved with for 8 years. Do I have that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell us about the Men's League and where it started and where you're at now.
Well, we got started through another group called Warrior Sage that runs some weekend workshops and different things like that. And they were the genesis of the group. And we've long since Warrior Sage discontinued their support, we've continued to meet every month, 12 months of the year, for the last 8 years. We just find there's such tremendous value in having this place for the men to get together once a month.
How many guys?
There's 10 to 12 that we have on our list, and usually there's a couple of no-shows every month. So we're typically between 6 and 10 of us that get together on a monthly basis.
What's the criteria to attend? Is there any criteria?
No, there's no criteria to attend.
Okay.
It becomes self-selecting and self-filtering. If you're not up for it, you won't be around for more than 1 or 2 meetings.
Okay, you won't stay on
Yeah.
that. And what's the shortest time that someone's been in the group?
Well, we've had people that have attended for 1 meeting and then
Right.
have never
But
seen
right
it.
now, your current contingency, what's the shortest amount that someone's been, like, has it been 4 or 5 years that's the latest number has been added?
No, I think we have one fellow. We've had a couple of members that were in other men's groups. The group fell apart and they've come and joined us.
Okay,
And so we have one fellow that's been with us for between 1 and 2 years.
okay.
And we've also got some of the men in our group that have been here since day one, that have been here for the entire 8 years.
And you've been there since the beginning of it?
I have been there since the beginning.
Okay.
Yes.
So, guys getting together. Of course, you drink beer and you watch sports. And what do you? I know you don't do that. What do you do?
Well,
What goes on?
The key to it is we have a purpose. We have an agenda and we have a purpose. And the purpose is for it to get the best out of each other
Okay.
and to hold each other accountable
Really?
and to inspire each other to that level of accountability. And it's not a place to put your feet up and kick back and have a beer and bitch about, whether it's the women in your life or your job or whatever.
Right.
There's a place for somebody who's really going through some pain to share that pain.
Okay.
It's not a place to bitch and complain.
It's not a bitch session.
No.
Okay. Well, I guess my question is, how is it to get buy-in from the guys so it's not that? That's just understood that you're there to do that? Like, who sets the tone? Are there group rules, or is it just understood that way? That's the way it is?
Yeah, we've evolved over the years, and in that evolution, we've changed the rules. From the beginning, though, we had a very definite structure and really definite rules that if you're going to be committed to this group, here's the way it rolls out.
Yeah.
So, for example, the meeting starts at 7 p.m., and if you're late, it costs you $20.
Okay. And
Because we're just saying to these guys, this is the one place in your life where a commitment means something.
right.
And so then we will, during the course of a meeting, we might challenge each other to say, what's your biggest challenge you're facing? And And how can we as a group of men help you over the next month? And we'll set something up for the guys and say, okay, this is what we're looking for you to do over the next month. And if you don't do it, here's the consequence.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And how often do the guys not follow through with it?
Well, let me put it this way. We've got money in the bank that we can use for a year-end party and donations to charity of about $1,800 right now.
Really?
Yes.
And how do you, so if you say you're going to do this, and if they don't follow through, then they actually have to pay some money into not following through?
It depends on the situation, yes.
Right.
And so there are times when I've made a commitment that I'm going to do something special for my wife this month, and if I don't do it, I owe $100 to the group.
No kidding.
There was one time when we had one fella, he was going to do something, and if he didn't do it, he would do a fall yard cleanup for one of the other guys.
Okay.
If he didn't follow through with his commitment.
So it's not always money, it's some other way of having to do it.
We come up with a sting that means something to the
Right.
man in question, because if he's making big money and he's working in the oil rigs, $100 might mean nothing to that guy.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
but to be able to have to go over to his buddy's house and clean up all the dirty backyard in the fall might be something that he would really be bothered by.
Right.
So we usually find a sting. We watch the other men, and when we find something where he starts to squirm a little bit, then we know we've got something that'll work.
That's going to have some sort of impact
That's
on
right.
that. So you're in a room. Where do you actually hold them? In people's houses? Where do you go?
Lately, we've got one of the guys that's got some space in his office.
Okay.
And so we find that's the best because it's a more neutral setting. We have had it in people's homes. Typically, we will go to someone's office who's got the space to hold
Okay.
us.